Hey, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk Night Edition. I am your host, C Money, and in this episode, I wanted to have a recap of hotspots in South Florida, and then I also want to talk about what I did for um, the past weekend prior to this taping, and also I want to talk about what's going on with everything else, the election, Donald Trump, and everything. I want to start off by saying I hope everybody's staying safe. I hope everybody's being safe. I hope everybody's social distancing. And if you got symptoms, quarantine, stay safe out there. Wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, keep yourself healthy, keep yourself clean, keep yourself good. And I want to talk about the last segment that I had. We did Hotspots in South Florida, Coronavirus Edition. Now, what we did was basically we went to, I'm sorry, that's lightning in the area. We went to two different spots. Well, two different spots, and it was 3 episodes because one got split into two because of um, it cut off and then they split it into another episode. We went to Sawgrass Mills Mall in Sunrise, Florida, and we went to Pembroke Lakes Mall in Pembroke Pines, Florida. And we showed you how the malls are, since the malls have opened back up during the quarantine. We showed you how they're social distancing, how everybody's, have to stay protocols and everything, and how everything there, and we showed you that. This past weekend, on the date that this is being published, this past weekend, I experienced more quarantine. I attended, and this is not going to be a part of Hotspots in South Florida because I didn't do it for um, privacy purposes. I attended a couple of theme parks in Orlando with a few friends of mine. I attended both fun spots in Orlando and in the Kissimmee. I attended Universal Studios and I also attended SeaWorld. And I'm going to talk about them. Um, I'm going to talk about them. Um, I visit Fun Spot. Fun Spot, is basically like a family fun amusement park. It's not as big as Disney World or Universal, but they have 3 parks. They have 2 in Orlando, well, 2 in Central Florida, which is Orlando and Kissimmee, and they have 1 in Atlanta. And I've been to the one in Kissimmee twice because I recently visited the Fun Spot in June. I never mentioned that. But I visited in June and I visited this past weekend. The Orlando Fun Spot I just visited for the first time this past weekend. It's a nice place. It's not as busy as you think it would be because of the fact that coronavirus and it's not as busy. But as you know, most people flock to Disney World and Universal Studios for their, what I'm saying? Because when you think of Orlando, you think of Disney World, you think of Universal Studios. But I must say Orlando has more attractions and more spots. Like I've seen a lot of mini golf places. I've seen a lot of go-kart themed like parks. I've seen a lot of places where you can have family fun centers. I've seen a lot of the places like that. So I look at it as if, there isn't, when you go to Orlando, there isn't just Universal Studios and there isn't just Disney World. There's a lot of places to do. You know what I'm saying? There isn't just SeaWorld. But it was nice. It was good. It was fun. It was great. You know what I'm saying? You there's social distancing because it's not packed. We went during the daytime for both. Well, and you know what I'm saying? Well, Fun Spot on Kissimmee went in the evening time, but Fun Spot we went in the daytime. And it was, social distancing all over. And yes, they do wipe down the seats and clean the seats after every ride. And then what they do, and most theme parks are doing this. Like if you sit in the front seat for this ride, the next riders have to sit in the seat behind the front seat. They clean it and wipe it down, and then you sit in the seat behind it so the seat can air dry as you go on the ride. Then after that ride, the next set of groups sit in the front seat. They use every other seat on each ride. Like you sit in the front seat now, then on the next ride you guys sit in the back seat. Then on the next ride you guys sit in the front seat. Then on the next ride you guys sit in the back. It's like They rotate the seats for cleaning and social distancing because they're not going to clean it, wipe it down, and then you gotta use it. No, they clean it, wipe it down, then they use the seats in back of it as the seats, and then after the ride, they clean and wipe down them seats, and then they go back to the front seats. So that's how they was doing. Now Universal is another story. Now with Fun Spot, you didn't have to wait in line for the rides. You know, you get in, you get up there, you have maybe 2, 3 people. Universal, oh my God. Universal was doing since the closing of the Halloween Horror Nights, because Universal Studios closed Halloween Horror Nights. They decided to do 2 day parks, two daytime Halloween houses. One was um the Frankenstein house. I forgot what they called it. And then the other one was the Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. And I went in. It is social distancing because I'm not a fan of haunted houses, because I go to haunted houses, but I'm not a fan of them. And I don't too much care for Halloween Horror Nights because I've never been to Halloween Horror Nights, but I heard that it's more intense than any other house, Halloween like haunted houses and stuff. It's social distancing. When you go in there, every monster or every like ghost or whatever, or every what I'm saying, goblin or monster or whatever, they're behind a like shield, plexiglass or whatever you want to call it. They're behind the shield. It's like they're in a little room and they're behind the shield, and all they can do is just come out and scare you. They can't jump at you or come go charging at you like they would normally do. You know what I'm saying? At regular Halloween Horror Nights, they can't do that. So it was kind of fun. Now, as far as with me, Universal always been, what I'm saying, a good place but bad, because throughout the whole day, because we ended up getting a 2 park pass, which is Island of Adventures and the regular Universal Studios. Now Universal Studios, I could say it wasn't as bad, but it's just the lines. You have to wait almost 120, 130 minutes for the ride. First of all, I want to let y'all know, for those who haven't been to Universal Studios yet, you have to get up and go when the park opens at 9. If you are one of the people who has that lives in the Universal Resorts hotels, you get early access. But as far as anything else, you have to be there when the park opens up. Because first, Universal Studio is doing virtual line until 11 o'clock. What virtual line is that you have to download the app first. And then whatever ride that you're doing, you have to pick a time frame to go inside that ride. Like say for instance, you get at 9 o'clock. Some of the rides, you have it from 9:30 to 10 o'clock to get to that ride. That's your virtual time. That's virtual line. Everybody else have to wait till after 11 o'clock to get in. Like say for instance, you purchase your ticket through Universal Studios, or you purchase your ticket through the website or whatever. Because me, I purchased my ticket through the app. And they tell you have to download the app and do the virtual line to actually go into it. Just like with the haunted house, you have to do virtual line through the haunted house. You just can't walk up to the haunted house. You have to do the virtual line. And the virtual line is on the app. They scan the code on the virtual line. And if the code matches the time that you're supposed, like say for instance, your time is to get there at 9:30 for the virtual, for the ride or the house. You go online, you get the barcode, and they have to scan the barcode. If it is accepted, that means you're supposed to be scheduled for that virtual line. If you're not, you have to either schedule a virtual line or you have to come back at 11 o'clock when everybody is allowed. And it was confusing to us because it's like majority of the rides, even after 11 o'clock, it was still saying virtual line. And it's like, and then when you click on it, it say not available. A lot of the rides went up to 60, 70 minutes, 120 minutes, 130-minute wait, and it's like, it's ridiculous. The lines was ridiculous, and with that virtual line, it was ridiculous to do anything. Like even Harry Potter train, Hogwarts Express, it was 90 minutes, 80 minutes, 100 minutes, and I'm like, dude, and not only that, it's even worse because you're social distancing. When you go on these rides, you have to sit every other seat. And not only that, especially with the roller coasters. I didn't go on Rip Ride Rocket because, you know what I'm saying, of a issue with Rip Ride Rocket. I went on Woody Woodpecker. And with Woody Woodpecker, you know, the Woody Woodpecker Nut House coaster. It's one it's only one um car, like one really car, you know, like Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, they got like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars going at one time. Zoom, 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 zoom. With Woody Woodpecker, the Nut House coaster is only one car, like one, like roller coaster cars. So it's like you have to wait, and they have to do every other seat because they have to clean the seats and do every other seat. And I'm like, well, and then a lot of the shows, I seen Barney, but the Barney show was closed. But Barney was like on a stage outside of the area where he normally proposed at. Curious George was closed. Five Roots Playland was closed. You know, all of the shows was closed. Majority of the people was doing outside like cameo guests. Like I've seen Scooby Doo and all of them, and they was doing outside cameo guests. But you can't go to see none of the shows because there was no shows open. And the lines are ridiculous. The lines are ridiculous. Now I can say at Universal, the main Universal, there was a little bit of social distancing. Now Islands of Adventure is worse because there was no social distancing in the Islands of Adventure. Everybody was close to people. There was no 6 feet social distance. There was none of that at Islands of Adventure. And I'm like, wow. And one of the people at Islands of Adventure gave us an inside tip. It's not for the main rides, it's for the small rides. He was saying because me and my friend went to go on the Cat in the Hat, which is basically a kiddie ride. But what we was doing was taking the rides that had the least amount of wait time and riding them, because we didn't want to wait 110 minutes for Shrek or 130 minutes for. We didn't want to wait like over. I told my friend I didn't want to wait no more than 30 minutes for a ride. So, the Cat in the Hat was like maybe 30 minutes, maybe 30, 35 minutes. I'm not for sure. And the guy who was in Cat in the Hat said, we didn't wait in Cat in the Hat no more than 10 minutes in the ride. And he was like, so the ride wasn't that long? He said, no, because they just put the time higher. Because they didn't want the ride to overcrowd. And I get what they were saying. They were saying if you was to say the ride is a 5-minute wait, everybody's going to bum rush that ride because that's the only ride that's 5 minutes. Because when we did Woody Woodpecker, the Nut House coaster, on our way to the Nut House coaster, it said it was only a 5-minute wait. When we got to the front of the ride, it was like a 20 to 30-minute wait. And it went up to 45-minute wait. And then it went up to a 70-minute wait. Because a lot of the rides that has the least amount of wait time, that's where people on the app bun rush to that ride. Because when we first went to Rip Ride Rocket, it was no more than like a 20 to 30-minute wait. Then it went up to 60 to 70 minutes because people felt like, oh, that's the ride that got the least amount of time. What ended up happening is that the rides in the beginning of the entrance, like that, in the entrance of Universal, have the more wait times because the first ride when you go inside Universal is Shrek. Then the next ride is Despicable Me and Rip Ride Rocket. So it's like those are the rides that's going to have the more wait time. And then Harry Potter is one of the most worst rides ever because the last time I went to Universal Studios in 2018, a couple of years ago. The wait time for Harry Potter, the ride, was 90 minutes. So this time it was even longer because now you have to wait longer because of COVID-19, especially for the roller coaster rides because you have to sit every other seat and every other row. And then not only that, they have to clean and sanitize everything. We did the Mommy. The Mommy ride was not that long of a wait time. We tried, and so was the Jimmy Fallon ride, the Race to New York, the Tonight Show, the Race to New York. So it was like we was picking the rides that had the least wait time. And the Simpsons ride was crazy. So a lot of this stuff at Universal Studios, if you go to Universal Studios, you have to have an express pass because there is no way that you can get on the ride, and you have to get there early. We didn't think about getting an express pass until we got there because we felt like the park wasn't going to be as busy because of COVID-19 and everybody wasn't going. But it was busy. And then by the time we wanted to get an express pass, they didn't want to charge us $200 for an express pass. I'm like, are you seriously? When I looked on the app, the express pass was only like 80 something dollars and some change for an express pass. But if you buy it at the park, they want to charge you $200. I said no, they can keep that. It was and that's why I say it was, Universal Studios is not where to be at right now for COVID-19 because the social distancing is hell. There's no social distancing in the Islands of Adventure because everybody's bum rushing it. You can't ride the ride like you want to ride. It's every other seat and every other row. And now wait times are mad crazy. So you got to get there early. And even if you get there early, you're not getting what you get in the full experience. So you're not getting it. So it's a problem with that. And not only that, it's crazy. It's crazy. Um, I ended up also going to um, SeaWorld. Now, SeaWorld was better than Universal. And SeaWorld, there was social distancing because SeaWorld wasn't as busy as you would thought it would because it's one of the other like main theme parks, but it's like a water theme park. It's more based on like water animals and stuff. I rode Manta, and when I told you Manta was like you waited no more, I didn't even have to wait 5 minutes. I went up there, and bam, I was like there. I got on the ride. It was nothing. And they have shows at SeaWorld. You get to see the actual. We seen the dolphin show. We seen the killer whale show. We seen that. It just sunrise are not available due to COVID-19. Like we went to Sesame Street Land, and I didn't get to see Big Bird. I didn't get to do everything. We just walked through Sesame Street Land, and it was like a lot of the stuff got canceled or a lot of the stuff was postponed because of COVID-19. But SeaWorld was a lot more better than Universal Studios because you didn't need an express pass because SeaWorld have their own version of express pass. I forgot the name that they call it. But the only thing about SeaWorld is a lot of the activities and a lot of the show, like either a lot of the shows and a lot of the rides and stuff was closed due to COVID-19. But it was more because it was social distancing inside um, SeaWorld, and also it wasn't as packed as it was like Universal was. And I look at it as that's good. So if you planning on going to Orlando anytime, your best bet is to hit up Fun Spot and to hit up SeaWorld. I don't know about Disney World because I didn't do Disney World, because I don't know how Disney World is. From what I know, they're laying off a lot of people and stuff. Now, what I want to talk about next is this election and everything. As you know, recently, President Donald Trump has contracted coronavirus, which sparked a whole nationwide controversy because now everybody's like, oh, now you got the mask, and everybody's, it's a controversy. I've been telling y'all this from day one that this is a test for Donald Trump. And now it's a situation, and a lot of people are now waiting on that stimulus package. And now it has been said that Donald Trump wants to postpone doing the second stimulus package to after the election. And a lot of people that I know be like, oh, I can't wait on the stimulus. I say, first of all, y'all know that stimulus package is coming, not coming no time soon. Because when they started talking about, negotiating for that stimulus package, what happened? The Congress passed a bill for them to for them to get more money to the post office for home voting. And then Trump was like, I want to veto it. And then they forgot all about the stimulus package. Now they bringing the stimulus package up, and then they can't vote on the package deal. And Trump wants to just throw it out until after the election. And you know what that means? Trump trying to get everybody to vote for him so they can get that stimulus package. But I look at it as if you can't do that the way that it is. And now I look at the Supreme Court Justice Ruth Ginsburg. She passed away. May she rest in peace, and may her family be forever in my prayers, and hope, that the family is okay. Now he wants to try to create a new person to fill her seat. And Congress and everybody else is telling him we should wait till after the election. But no, he wants to appoint somebody now because he wants somebody that's going to be on his side. So I look at it as if a lot of this stuff, and I say this is the reason why Joe Biden is not going out here to these locations. Joe Biden is not having these Democrat rallies and these, what I'm saying, um, and stuff like that. He's doing his stuff from behind the camera with a mask on. Trump is having the Republican national conventions and these rallies and going to state. That's why you contributed the virus, because number one, you going to these rallies, half the people at your rallies is not wearing masks. You're not wearing a mask. So now you want to sit up here and look at it as if, oh, you're okay. You went in the hospital a couple of days ago. Now you coming out, oh, I'm okay. You have to quarantine yourself. You got the virus. Your wife got the virus. Now you still traveling to places, knowing that you can contract the virus to other people. What is going on with you? You know, this coronavirus is setting the bar for everything. Back here in Florida, we're now moving to stage 3. A lot of businesses are closing. Sweet Tomatoes, a nice restaurant, a healthy restaurant, closing. I just got word that Regal Cinemas is closing. You know what I'm saying? Payless Shoes went out of business. You know what I'm saying? One of my favorite spots. Oh, I'm Apex Group. Apex Group. If you don't know who Apex Group, you finna know. Apex Group is the company that owns Boomers, and Boomers, as you know, was in one of our very first hotspots in South Florida videos that we did. Apex Group filed for bankruptcy. So they lost a lot of their Boomers properties. Like the majority of the Boomers that they have, there's one Boomers here in South Florida, and the remaining Boomers are in California. All the Boomers they had in Texas got closed. All the other locations that they have, because they also have something called Speed Zone, closed. A lot of the locations got closed. A lot of these businesses are closing due to COVID-19 because they can't keep afloat. When you closed everything, like family fun centers, game rooms, and stuff like that, when you closed everything, it gave a lot of people to know that it is hard to reopen back up when you're losing money. A lot of these jobs can't keep their workers and pay their workers. You know what I'm saying? Because when you on a payroll, even if your workers are not working, you still gotta pay to have them on your payroll. And it's afloat, and you still got to pay rent, you got to pay bills to keep that business afloat. And if you're not bringing in no money, it's done. A lot of these businesses, and then the government is not doing that to help these small businesses afloat. The government is not helping these businesses do what they need to do to try to maintain themselves. So a lot of these businesses, arcade rooms, family fun centers, restaurants, clothing stores, a lot of these shopping places, they're closing. A lot of these places are closing because they can't keep afloat. Look at what happened to Disney World and Universal Studios. When I went to Universal Studios, there was a lot of rides. Like, I wanted to ride the Fast and Furious ride, but earlier in the year, they had to shut down the Fast and Furious ride due to coronavirus, and they had to switch a lot of the workers around to maintain, and they had to lay off a lot of workers. At Disney World and at Universal Studios, you can't come in contact with the like this year, there was no Mardi Gras at Universal Studios. There's no parade that you can see, because normally they have like a little character parade, because I've seen it when 2018, it was the Blues Brothers, it was the Despicable Me Minions, they had like characters in a parade. You can't see the parade. You can't see the characters at Disney World. And if you do, you can't take a picture with them. You got to be, social distancing, And when I went to Universal Studios and when I went to Islands, not Islands of Vision, when I went to SeaWorld. And, when I went to, like, they had, on Sesame Street Land, they had the Count on a float. The Count wasn't walking around. He was on a float. They told you if you want to take a picture of the Count, you had to stand in line and social distance. That's how a lot of these people. The same thing when I went to Universal Studios and I seen Barney. You had to stand on a line or a section for social distancing, and you had to take a picture from afar. You couldn't go up and take a picture with him while you up close, so you couldn't go take a picture of the other characters well close. They start taking pictures from social distancing. So it's like, wow, everything is changing. Everything is changing for the worse, and it's not no better. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you know what I'm saying, this is why the election, get out and vote. Get out and vote. We need change. We need things changed bad. So get out and vote. I want all of my peoples to get out and vote, because this election is one of the most serious elections out there. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the election that will change everything. We are in a pandemic, and we need change in this pandemic. They say it takes up to about a year for a vaccine to come for this virus, but we need something done. We need a mass mandate. We need stuff. Trump is telling people, government has the right to say what they want to say about masks. You need to have the whole country on a mask mandate. You can't walk out your house without a mask. You need to draw a bill. You need to have stimulus packages. Canada and all these other countries and stuff is giving they people stimulus package every month. You still got people like myself that are out of jobs. That have been out of jobs since April and March and February. You've seen people that's been out of jobs since March, and they still haven't went back to work, because people keep hiring and people keep firing. Look at Universal Studios and Disney World. They opened up, and now they letting go. And every year, every month, they laying people off. And now these people got to realize what they're gonna do. Look at these restaurants. You come into work today, and then tomorrow you learn that you laid off. Now, and not only that, you getting 1 or 2 paychecks. Some of these restaurants I've seen, the people go in the restaurant and work for 2-3 days, and then next thing you know, they come in, they laid off. They only get a 3-day paycheck. And unemployment down here is crazy. It's still people that haven't gotten unemployment. It's a lot of people that haven't even got the $600 unemployment benefits. So it's like, get out and vote and make changes. Get out and vote and do something. Roundtable00@yahoo.com is our email. You can comment at the bottom of this page. You can email us. I want to know, what is your intake on this coronavirus? What is your intake on the president having the coronavirus? What is your intake on, have you been to Universal Studios? Have you been to Disney World or any of the theme parks in Orlando? Was there social distancing? Was there anything that, you seen out of the ordinary? What do you feel about this election? Who you think should win this election? I want to know your opinions. I want to know your views, because right now this is a crucial situation. This is crucial time. This episode was basically mainly talking about social distancing in a lot of places. I went to the malls. There was a little social distancing, but not social distancing. I went to Orlando. It was kind of a social distance in the regular Universal, but Island of Adventures, there was no social distancing at all. Because once you get off the Hogwarts Express train and you're walking through Harry Potter land, my God, it's like everybody and their mama, where was no social distancing at all. And there was nobody to enforce social distancing. You know what I'm saying? And there was nobody to enforce the rules. All they doing about is wear your mask, wear your mask. That's all they worried about. But you're not telling people you got to stay 6 feet apart. You don't have markers that's telling you to stay 6 feet apart. And it's like, it's crazy. It's real crazy out there. So what are you doing out here to help stop the spread of coronavirus? Just because you're wiping down your roller coaster seats, and just because you're telling people to wear masks, that is not helping the coronavirus. You got to practice social distancing when you go into these locations. You know what I'm saying? You got to enforce social distancing. You know what I'm saying? When I go into certain places in the stores and stuff, they tell you can't sit here, you can't stand there, you got to back up, you got to do this. They do that. You're not doing it at Universal. You just let everybody walk the way they want to walk and do what they want to do. You're not letting everybody do what they want. You know what I'm saying? You're not social distancing in these places. You only social distancing on the rides. So it's looking like you're not doing your part on everything. So why is it that, you know what I'm saying, the cases are going to go back up? And now they just started going back to school, you know what I'm saying, because they wanted the schools to start back early, but the people didn't want the schools to start back early. It's a lot of stuff that's going on that people don't like. People are trying to stay safe, but the government and businesses and these companies are not enforcing the rules. The government is not forcing the rules. If the government was to go to Universal Studios right now and say, hey, there's about 1,000 people walking without social distancing, y'all need to enforce the rules. They're not doing it. Somebody took a picture of Volcano Bay a couple of months ago when the Volcano Bay opened up. You know what I'm saying? Around the time when Universal opened up, they took a picture of Volcano Bay and they said, oh, they're not social distancing. Universal had to take heed to it. Nobody did that for regular Universal Studios and when. So it's like they need to have government come in and enforce everything. I want to know your intake on everything. I want to know your intake on all of this. Email roundtable00@yahoo.com. Comment at the bottom of this page. I want to know what your feedback is on everything. I will be doing another follow-up update about coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? I will do another follow-up. The next episode will probably be based on the election. So just be looking out for that. And I hope y'all staying safe. Hope y'all cleaning yourself, sanitize everything. I hope everything. This is the Roundtable Talk. I'm your host, C Money. Have a blessed and safe day. And I'm out.